Disney hasn't given up on Blu-ray yet. Welcome to another daily cinephile vlog. And in this one, yeah, I will be talking about movies, specifically the Disney Movie Club. And recently, things have started to happen again with some Disney movie exclusives. So today, the Disney Archives, the Twitter page, shared a photo of Make Mine Music. It was actually from the premiere of the movie. I believe it was the premiere anyway, but basically there was this giant neon sign that was outside the theater back when it was originally released promoting the movie. And I thought that was really cool. Disney Archives does share some pretty unique stuff once in a while, and a lot of stuff that for things that people probably don't even think about. Like, when was the last time anybody really cared to watch Make Mine Music besides really hardcore Disney fans and animation fans? So I had shared it, and I had mentioned that, hey, Disney, you're talking about Make Mine Music, which is great, but it'd be also cool if you would actually release the movie on Disney Plus, because it hasn't hit Disney Plus yet. It was also a movie that, for many years on home video, was being edited. I believe that was the one where an entire segment was cut out of the package film. They have done editing to some of their movies before, but I believe most stuff at this point has been released unedited. I think there was a part of Fantasia that was edited, and originally there was a scene in the Saludos Amigos that had Goofy edited because he was smoking a cigarette and they had to cut it out for some DVD releases. But on the Blu-ray release, it was actually restored. So I figured maybe that was why Make Mine Music was being held off from a Disney Plus release, because they were maybe working on getting that short part of the package film again. Maybe they wanted to add it back and not have anything cut. But there hasn't been any announcements. And on top of that, I said, it'd also be cool if you'd release it on Blu-ray along with Melody Time, because, we've been waiting too long for that. You released the Blu-ray combo pack of Fun and Fancy Free, and The Adventures of Ichabod and Mr. Toad. That was a couple years ago, and then they followed suit with Saludos Amigos and the Three Caballeros on Blu-ray as a Disney movie exclusive. So all the package films were being put on a 2-movie pack. So I figured they would do the same for Make My Music and Melody Time. So I brought that up. I was like, you should release that on Blu-ray. And while we're at it, as far as the Disney canon goes, all of the films that have been released by Disney Animation Studios ever since 1937's release of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, I thought, you should also release The Black Cauldron, which I only have on VHS, mostly because I didn't really want to get the DVD unless there was actual proof that there would never be a Blu-ray. Since Disney is still releasing physical media, at least, in stores, for newer movies, I was thinking, what, they might still get to it someday. But the past year of 2020, I started to give up hope. Mostly because, with the release of Disney Plus, they didn't announce any more Disney movie exclusives for the Disney Movie Club. There wasn't any in 2020, so I figured maybe it was done. Maybe they had just wrapped things up. They were going to be relying on the streaming service from now on, which, makes sense. You can watch The Black Cauldron and many of the other movies besides Make My Music on Disney Plus. But then, to my surprise, as someone replied to me on Twitter, they mentioned Black Cauldron is actually getting a Blu-ray release. And I was shocked, because I was like, how haven't I heard of this? Well, it was only announced yesterday. So, literally tweeting about it, I was a day off. If I only would have known. So I was shocked. I was like, you gotta be kidding me. They're actually releasing on Blu-ray. I went to the Disney Movie Club website, and of course, there was the link. There was also a link for Valiant, the kind of unknown sort of Disney movie that was released in the mid-2000s. It's not really a Disney movie. It was released by Disney, but it wasn't created by Disney. It was by a different studio. So I don't know much about that, besides I remember the poster for it. So I saw that on the site too, and I was like, oh, that's cool that's getting released. But The Black Cauldron on Blu-ray, so I can finally upgrade this VHS copy that I have. It's crazy to me that after all this time, they're actually doing it. And it's starting to make my list that I did a couple years ago on the main channel. I did a top 10 Disney movies that should be on Blu-ray list. It's starting to become outdated because now the Black Cauldron will be on Blu-ray. And, I also mentioned that they should be releasing a Goofy movie on Blu-ray, and they actually have done that. So, it seems like, okay, maybe they are going to get to everything, and maybe Make Mine Music and Melody Time will be hitting Blu-ray eventually. But I figured, for the most part, the reason that they might be maybe held off was because they wanted to release it unedited, because they did that with Saludos Amigos. So maybe they will release Make Mine Music unedited. The other reason that I thought maybe Black Cauldron had not been released on Blu-ray was maybe because they wanted to hold off and possibly get the unedited version of the Black Cauldron. Not an unedited theatrical release, but actually a version of the movie that existed before it was cut up. Very famously, this is brought up in the Waking Sleeping Beauty documentary, that Jeffrey Katzenberg, one of the first decisions that he made was to cut big portions of the Black Cauldron out of the movie because it was too scary for kids. This had been done even after the music was already put in the movie. Entire animated segments were gone. And this version of the movie has never been seen. It's kind of questionable if it even exists. Disney has a huge archive of old films, and man, they have film cells even from back in like the 40s. So, you got to think it might exist, that version of the Black Cauldron on some level. So maybe that's why Disney was holding off for so long. I didn't read anywhere about the special features that will be part of it. I'm not sure about what the special features were on the 2009 release, so I'm not sure if those will be ported over to the Disney Movie Club Blu-ray. And I also don't know if they're going to have that, I guess what would be called original cut of the film before all the cuts were made for the theatrical release. Even if it were to be released in a somewhat, if it wasn't completely cleaned up, if they weren't able to do that, I think fans would accept that. Because there's a lot of fans of the Black Cauldron that would love to see the full movie. To be honest, I've seen it, the theatrical Black Cauldron, and I'm not a fan. I don't think it's that great of a movie. There's not a whole lot that I like about it besides, it is Disney animation. Disney animation is always splendid. But it is kind of like the least Disney film of their hand-drawn era, if you ask me. It seemed to be copying other things that were doing well in the 80s. In live action and animation, as far as like fantasy films go. But, I get that it has a fan base, and honestly, as a Disney fan, I would love to see this original cut. So, we'll see what ends up happening. I, of course, already pre-ordered the movie. As soon as I heard about it, I was like, have to pre-order this thing. Get rid of this VHS. Well, I'm not going to get rid of it, but I can't believe I only have a VHS copy of the movie. But I'm so glad I held off. I started collecting the Disney canon, the Disney Animation Studios films on Blu-ray in 2011. That's when I started collecting them. So this is, of course, my Blu-ray collection has grown even bigger since then. So it's grown beyond just Disney, but this has been something that's, at this point, 10 years in the making. But you know what? I gotta hand it to Disney. It's amazing that they kind of, every once in a while, they're listening to us as far as physical media owners go. For a format that I expected studios to give up on a little faster, and really start turning towards the streaming services. I'm glad that they see a value in releasing these movies for fans and for collectors, and for the fact that, you can upcharge. You can release a movie that's already available in streaming, but you can get $24 for an individual Blu-ray, and what do you have to lose? You make a couple copies, they're probably going to sell out. I mean, I can see why they're still doing it to a point, and they must be selling. And the Disney movie exclusives must still be selling, because I thought they had given up. But I don't know, maybe something happened with their sales in 2020, where maybe, like, to their surprise, they stayed stronger than they thought they would. So they were like, let's stick with it. And hey, I also got to hand it to them for, I remember when they released the Volume 4 of DuckTales. This was... So, every once in a while, I think they're actually listening to us about things that we want to get released. They listened to us about DuckTales, they listened to us about Goofy Movie, and now they're finally listening to us about The Black Cauldron. I'm gonna just assume that Disney has been watching my videos and seen all the movies that I want on Blu-ray. Not really, but, you know, it is really cool. I'm glad that they're still doing it, and it gives me hope that Make My Music and Melody Time will hit Blu-ray. I know when I made that video, I said, like, the number one released, I mean, the movie that hasn't been released is Song of the South. I still think, like, the reason that was number one was because, you know, it's never been released on any format in the US, but I don't know if I'd place that at number one, and I even mentioned in the video that it's not really that great of a movie anyway. I mean, beyond the fact that it's got tons of problems, obviously, it's also, like, nothing about it that's redeemable. Like, even people who are, like, maybe, you know, if they argue that it's not offensive, okay, I can't see them even arguing that it's, like, a good movie at all on a story level. It's just a kind of a... So I don't know. I think it's historically important, I guess. I mean, it won an Oscar, and it's got, you know, animation with live action, so that is still, like, to me, historically important, but it's a movie that, especially at this point, I'm like, maybe I might change my mind on that one. That's one change I'd make to that video, is that I'd probably just not have it on the list, because it doesn't need to hit Blu-ray. It's fine. Maybe Blank Check should hit Blu-ray, because I hear people bring that one up all the time, at least to my YouTube channel, because people apparently love that movie more than I realized. Thanks for watching.